What is shaking? What is bacon? It is Steven here, and in today's video, we are going to be going over the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week number 9, 8+1. That's what we're getting into right now. We're getting into the must-start kickers, guys. And if you are not already a part of the Catch Fam, we encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Join the best community in all of fantasy football. And if you do like this video or any of the other videos, hit that like button. It means a ton to the channel. It means a ton to me. I mean, I've got nothing going for myself, so please hit it. It means a lot to my self-esteem. And as always, we love to get your comments below to talk to you about your rosters, who you're putting into your starting lineup, who you're benching, who you're cutting, so we can help prepare your roster before Sunday. But with all that said, let's get into it. Let's get into the must-start kickers. Up at number 1, we're going with my big boy. He is Jason Myers from Marist College. Number 1 kicker on the season, guys, 40% rostered. This is an anomaly, I swear, unless you've been watching my videos and you've been seeing this man's name, Jason Myers, on my videos week in, week out, you probably wouldn't even have him rostered. But you need to have him rostered if you are a Catch Fam member, guys, because he's killing it. 40% rostered, but the number 1 kicker on the season, guys. Since week 3, these are his numbers: 11, 13, 9, 13, 16, 11. He's a huge part of why the Seahawks team is winning. Going up against the Arizona Cardinals this week is one of the best teams to stream against at the kicker position. Last time they played, he had 13 fantasy points. With the injuries to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, it didn't matter. They still came out. They still played. The offense still looked good. They still put up a lot of points against the Giants. And Geno Smith is still moving the ball down the field, guys. I imagine this is going to continue to happen against the Arizona Cardinals. We know last time these guys played, it was a little bit more of a slogfest defensive battle. I think the offenses are going to have a little bit more shine in this game, guys. And in any case, I still think Jason Myers is up for a really big game here. So my favorite kicker on the season so far needs to be over 50% rostered, guys. There's no excuse for it. Go out and grab him. Put Jason in your lineup just like some whipped cream on a brownie. He is a tasty treat. Up next, guys, we're talking about a guy who's 70% rostered, dropped back to number 5 on the season. I've got to bring him up because I'm concerned that a lot of you are going to drop him or you're going to see him on your waivers. That man is Daniel Carlson, who had 0 fantasy points probably for the first time in his entire career, dating back to like middle school, right? If you were doing fantasy on Daniel Carlson's middle school days, he was still probably putting up more points, guys. That Raiders team, that was an anomaly. Obviously, Davante Adams is immensely important to this offense because Hunter Renfrow has been pointless. Darren Waller has been pointless. Josh Jacobs has been great, but he didn't look good either. Everybody on the Raiders looked bad against the Saints. We see this from time to time throughout the years where the Saints defense pitches like a shutout type of game where they just lock down everybody. That was this one. I think a big part of that is because Derek Carr is so reliant on Davante Adams. The offense just never got moving. Derek Carr was barely able to put over 100 passing yards on the Saints defense, which put Daniel Carlson in a bad spot because they were just chasing at the end. They didn't need field goals, and they really were never put in a position where they could kick the field goal anyway. So Daniel Carlson, I'm going to wipe that from him. I'm going to say, you know what? I've been studying you long enough to know that that is not the norm, guys. Dating back before that, he had double-digit performances in every single game except for week 1 where he had 9 fantasy points. And this bleeds back to last year where he was the number 1 kicker on the entire season, guys, ahead of guys like Justin Tucker, who everybody unanimously says is the best kicker. In fact, for fantasy, it is Daniel Carlson. So go ahead and grab him, guys, if you get lucky enough that a fantasy owner drops him, because that's a massive mistake on their end, and they should never, ever, ever be able to make a kicker decision again, because Daniel Carlson is the man. You need to keep him. There's only one guy that's really battling out with him right now in my mind, and that is Jason Myers. Up next, we're going to a guy here, Nick Folk from the College of Arizona, Rob Gronkowski's best friend. No, to be honest, from the outside looking in, these guys look very opposite people, Gronk and Nick Folk. But Nick Folk and Gronk do share one thing. It's that they are smash plays, guys. Nick Folk had 21 fantasy points against the Jets, guys. I've been starting to appeal to him. I've been talking about how this Patriots defense is looking good, and I think the Patriots offense is looking better, and that is why Nick Folk is looking better. And he's been doing good over the past month, right? He had 1 stinker against Chicago Bears with that 2 fantasy point game, where that was really an anomaly where both the defense, the offense, the kicker position, they all look bad against the Bears. But back to it, man. He had 21 fantasy points against the Jets, going up against the Indianapolis Colts next week. I think this is a perfect recipe type of game, again, for the kicker position, right? The Colts defense is just good enough to stop you from scoring touchdowns, but also just bad enough to not stop you from moving down the field at a very consistent pace, right? Obviously, the Washington Commanders were able to win that game. We're able to move the ball too. I think the Patriots team is a whole different type of animal than the Washington Commanders. So I think the Patriots are going to get it done in that game. And I think Nick Folk is going to be a solid play here against the Indianapolis Colts. After that, they've got the bye week, but then, baby, we are right back at it against the Jets after the bye week. So definitely keep an eye on him because he will be dropped on his bye week. And I think he's going to be a good play there, right inside the top 10 right now. And I definitely think he's going to keep ascending, guys. Up next, talking about the 32nd ranked kicker on the season, guys. But a large reason for that is because he's missed basically the entire season. That is Harrison Butker, the kicker from Georgia Tech. Great beard and hair lineup. I mean, very suave looking character, guys. 35% roster. That this dude is such a big name kicker in the fantasy industry. I mean, there is no other kicker that I know of that misses as much time as Harrison Butker has this season, and he's still basically 50% rostered, same roster percentage as Jason Myers, the number one kicker on the season, guys. It's ridiculous. But large reason for that is that he's a Chiefs kicker getting a tie to Patrick Mahomes. And going up against the Tennessee Titans, I think that's going to be really impactful here, guys. I think this is going to be the type of game here where the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if oftentimes they have to settle for the field goals, guys. And I think that's because, yeah, that Tennessee Titans defense is pretty bad in the secondary, right? They can shut down the run, but they are pretty bad in the secondary, and they play a bend but don't break mentality. That's what Mike Vrabel coaches up in Tennessee. Well, that is beautiful for a guy like Harrison Butker, who can hit the 50-yard kicks with ease, guys, and he is very consistent at the 40-yard range too. Getting to pair up somebody with that talent with a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who I don't give a crap who you're playing against, he's going to be able to move the ball down the field. I think this is a perfect recipe, guys. Put Harrison Butker in your lineups, guys, and then the week after that, they got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Los Angeles Chargers. So I want to study to see how he does this week, right? And if he stays healthy, obviously, this could be a Harrison Butker ascension, guys, for the rest of the season because the bye week's already out of the way. But let's go ahead. Let's put him in your lineups, guys. Mr. Sticky himself, Tyler Bassman, Fisherman, number 12 on the season, guys, 65% rostered, so a little bit more of a heavily rostered kicker. So I won't make this too long, guys, but 10 fantasy points against Green Bay Packers going up against the Jets where Nick Folk just absolutely beat them down. Very similar compliments to what Harrison Butker has is the fact that he's tied to Josh Allen in this explosive Bills offense. I think the Bills are going to rip through the Jets all day long, and I think Tyler Bass is going to be a big beneficiary of that. We have seen the Jets defense really step up, so I don't know if maybe the Bills blow them out by like 50-0, but I do think that the Bills move the ball down their throat pretty quickly, guys, and I think Tyler Bass is going to be a big beneficiary of this on the game here, and I would definitely put him in your lineups, guys. I think he's a safer play. That's what Tyler Bass does every week in his career so far, is he's a safe play option. He's not going to burn you, and I think that's what you can do here. If you are in a game script where you've got a close competitor, where you don't need a necessarily big boom, but you can't have a bust, that is Tyler Bass. Put him in your lineup. Up next, Ryan Succop, just over 50% rostered, 52% rostered, the kicker from South Carolina, number 4 on the season, tied to Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Well, that has not been as exciting as it has in past years. This offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is definitely not as attractive as it used to be, right? We all know that. But that has also led to them needing Ryan Succop a little bit more than past years, and that's why he's the number 4 kicker. In the past, it's always been the extra points. Now it's a lot of field goal attempts, right? Going up against the Los Angeles Rams, this isn't the greatest matchup of all matchups, right, guys? I'm actually very curious to watch this game between Tampa Bay and Los Angeles. 2 disappointing offenses, 2 disappointing teams with 2 great kickers, guys. I think it's going to be a good one in the sense that I think this is going to be a very competitive matchup. I still think that this is going to be a good game script for Ryan Succop, right? Because I think the Buccaneers are going to rely on him all day long. I think if the Bucs win this game against the Rams, it is going to be because of Ryan Succop. I think he's going to be very instrumental. And when you look on the season, you look at his attempts, you look at his usage, very, very high in comparison to the rest of the league. And he has shown that he can do it from 50 plus, but honestly, he has made a lot of his bucks from the 30 to 40 range. And that's incredible because a guy that is number 4 on the season and not even really getting 50 plus attempts, I mean, there's even more potential there, right, guys? So I like Ryan Succop this week. I think you can put him in there. The fact that he's number 4 on the season and 50% roster too also points me to say you might want to go grab this guy, because next week he's also got the Seattle Seahawks, one of the best teams to go against at the kicker position, right, guys? So go ahead, grab Ryan Succop for this week. And lastly, guys, talking about a dude going up against the Seattle Seahawks this week, one of the worst defenses against the kicker position, right? Matt Prater from UCF, the kicker for the Arizona Cardinals, number 30 on the season, guys. Similar to Harrison Butker, he missed a lot of time this year, right? So I want to give an asterisk at the beginning of this video, guys. You need to monitor Matt Prater. He has been kind of hit or miss in terms of the injuries this season, right? Very questionable throughout the week, and then he'll get the healthy status or he'll get the out status. So if Matt Prater is out, I like the pivot to Younghoe Koo for the Atlanta Falcons against the Los Angeles Chargers. But the reason why I want to highlight Matt Prater here is he comes back off the injury spurt, right? Has 9 fantasy points against the Minnesota Vikings, has a good game, sees good usage, right? And we have seen since those first 2 weeks where he didn't really get a whole lot of usage, right? The Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury started relying on this guy more, started understanding the purpose of getting points where you can, because this offense has been a little bit more dysfunctional. He had his biggest performance against the Los Angeles Rams in week 3 when he had 14 fantasy points. Going up against the Seattle Seahawks here, I think it's a beautiful recipe. Like I said, Jason Myers is in for a big game. I think Matt Prater could also follow suit. I think both kickers could have a really solid one here. I don't think Matt Prater's a bad play at all. I would put Matt Prater in your lineups if you can, guys. Number 30 kicker on the season. He stays healthy. I think it's going to continue to climb. But with that said, guys, this has been the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week 9. I hope you enjoy this video, guys. If you do, always appreciate it if you hit that like button. It's just a good old thumbs up, maybe 2 thumbs up if you like, if you prefer, right, guys? But more importantly, hit that subscribe button. Join the best community in all of fantasy football, guys. Join our Discord so you can talk to a bunch of amazing people all day long about fantasy, about food, about movies, about cheese. We love cheese here. Do it all, guys. Join the community. It is such a good community, I tell you this. And also, guys, make sure you get in those comments. Let us know who is on your lineups. Let us know who you're thinking about cutting or benching or starting, and we will help you ahead of Sunday. But with all that said, this has been the must-start kickers for your fantasy football teams going into week 9, and you saw it here first at the catch.